Please have a resolution. It's not optimal. That's fine. Let me just shut this down so it doesn't do that. Put this over here. Okay. All right. Finally figured it out. Just about 5 minutes late. Nothing wrong with that. All right. So we're running a little bit behind because the video is still rendering. It's at 88%. It's like taking forever. Then I got to upload it, which is going to take a little bit. So in the meantime, I'm going to play a little Path of Exile, I guess. There's a new league. I'm just kind of digging around. It's super laggy because of the rendering and everything and streaming. But it's something to do. Currently, my toilet paper stash is at 10 large rolls of Angel Soft. See if I got any crazy stories from the coronavirus that I need to know about. $200 people, Jesus. Who even knows 200 people? Wait, that's not good. You don't want to have large gatherings right now. Presentation is rendering into a video right now. It's at 89%. It's not going very fast. I thought it would be done by now. I don't know if streaming and stuff is slowing it down because it's based on my processor. So this is the pre-show. I guess you would say. Wow, this is just frozen up completely. What's this place?
But it's ours. We could use you
paused.
while you live.
What a lovely day. Farewell.
Oh.
Farewell. Still alive, are we? Stay sharp out there.
No, I'm live on YouTube. That's why you're typing on YouTube. What are you talking about? I don't think they even allow you to stream on both at the same time. Oh, I thought Split Arrow was a support gem for some reason. What the fuck is this asshole? Yeah, but you can't do both, and I figured I'd get more people on YouTube. Wow. Great job, game. Unexpected disconnection. Maybe I should have said 5 o'clock, because this is dumb. Wait a minute. It's 4 o'clock my time, right? Didn't I say it was going to be 4 o'clock Eastern time? Am I like an hour late? I don't know what's going on. I'm so confused. Where's my character I just made? Delirium. Wanda bread. So I was supposed to start it at 3 o'clock? There's no way I would have had it done by then. It's been rendering for like an hour. It's still not even done. It's at 90% now. I didn't even like go over the video and like make sure everything was like perfect. Because it's so long, I wanted to get it done in time for me to actually like premiere it and then have time to go to bed tonight. So there might be some errors in it. I don't know.
My mana is gone.
Does anybody know anything about making a 501c3 organization? No, I can't work from home. That'd be nice.
The worms will have to wait a bit longer for this meal.
Usually they have the new league mechanic by now. I don't know why I haven't done that. My boss can work from home, but he chooses not to most of the time. So you guys know how I picked those morel mushrooms? Oh, I died during that crazy lag spike. That's good to know. Morels usually come out like in mid-April to May. But I found one yesterday. Early one. Because my boss has his secret spot. He didn't want to tell me where it was because he says like all these people depend on him for the morels. Because he's like a preacher of a church that lives next to my house. What the heck is this? But I got his son to tell me. Oh yeah, just lag me through the mechanic where I don't even get to experience it. Great. I'm assuming it's timed, so I'm guessing I'm already out of it by now. Or just alright. We can't play games. Just can't do it. Alright, back to this webcam. Fuck, I need to just go away for another hour and come back in an hour. %91. Yeah, if I'm streaming, it might take longer to upload. Shit, I don't know. How many people are in here anyway? Does it even say? Yeah, it's kind of based around the backyard stuff I was doing, where I was like treating life as if it was a game. I figured out a way to like take that to the next level, so everybody can participate. Where's the It's rendering. I'm at 91%, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. I can't just like redo the whole thing. It takes like an hour, and that's if you read it perfectly. %92. Should I bring up the little bar? Add a window capture and source. That's not right. Fuck it. I don't know. Divinity Original Sin? No. Everybody says it's good. Seriously, somebody show me how to figure out how many people are in the chat, because I have no clue. All I see is 0 of 200. I'm pretty sure it's characters you can type. What do I need to be looking at? Has anybody ever streamed before? I see 20 concurrent viewers. Is that what it is? I guess it is. I don't know if it keeps up. Okay, yeah, 20. Stream status poor. Let's see about this. Audio has more than 2 channels, but only one is supported. Keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. Send often enough. Viewers will experience buffering. Not optimal resolution. Alright, maybe this was a bad idea. Does this look really bad to everybody? Was the quality bad? Because if the quality's bad, I'm not going to premiere my video in shit quality. I'll just let you guys know when it's live and you can watch it and then we'll talk about it. It's 94%. I think it's speeding up now that I turn the game off. See, like the PowerPoint is like a lot of, some of it's going to be like small text. I don't know if you guys will be able to read it or not. I don't even know like if it's going to show up good. I haven't looked at the video yet because it's not rendered yet. So I don't know if it's going to be high enough resolution where you can read all the small details. You guys want a little preview, a little hint, a little image, just to like tease you a little bit? What am I looking at right now? Let's start showing the game in the background. I'm playing the game. Is this so far behind that it thinks I'm still playing Path of Exile? Let's see here. What are you guys looking at? Are y'all seeing Path of Exile still being played? Saddam Hussein was a hero, should not have died. Did I say that? I guess I did. Let's see. Yeah, Nos, is there a way to do that? To premiere it? I know you can like upload it and set a premiere date. Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to upload it first. Then once it's uploaded, I set it as a premiere. Yeah, I'll check that out. That sounds good. Alright, I'm going to show you guys a quick screenshot of... Was it? No. There. That's part of it. Discuss. What do you think that was, guys? Did anybody read any of that? Anybody see any of those words that were on it? What? Oh, that's because I'm not caught up to live. That's why I was showing that. Pizza, 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 pie, pizza, 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 pie. That's right. '96, '97. Oh man. Now we're getting close. Ding, 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 ding. I need some music in here. I'll probably get banned if I play music that I want to. Fucking world is so bad nowadays. You can't even play music on YouTube. Can't have fun with your friends. Can't do anything. What is this? The Surge 2? What is this game? Half off.
City. Cultists are rising from the shadows, and the military is running amok.
Avoid all human contact if possible. Your safety cannot be guaranteed.
This used to be a nice neighborhood.
With this power at our fingertips, we shall remake the Earth in our own image.
Man, monster, or machine, if you get in my way, I'm gonna rip you apart.
I gotta learn to stop biting my nails and touching my face. I'm gonna get the coronas.
Please take care of my little girl, I beg of you.
I'm not just going to save her. I'm going to save everyone.
Yeah, that's what tonight's about. It's about saving the world. I'm pretty sure it's not going to go anywhere. But it's the answer to all of our problems. We just need to like actually do it, and not be a bunch of millennials that sit around and complain and not do stuff. Yeah, I played Ori and the Blind Forest a little bit when it first came out. Saw Day 9 was still playing it. Shane's instant private channel when he switched it off from public. You have a private YouTube channel? I still get his videos on Facebook. The headphones I got, if you search for Sony MDQP or something like that, they'll come up. I've got a brand new pair right here. I'm giving away tonight's stream. No, I'm not. These are mine. These are my backups for when these fail. The thingies on the side are a little bit different than these. Because these ones are really good for like picking earwax out of your ear. But these ones have little round things. I don't think this will be as good. These are MDR 05 Q55s. MDR Q55s. SL, whatever that means. Took my Bluetooth ones hunting for mushrooms yesterday in the forest. Actually got knocked off once by trees. 99%. I don't know. He might have kicked me off because okay, we're at 100%, boys. Hang on. I gotta get stuff going. Let's see. Upload video. Every time I try to upload a video, it has to. Do you want to upload to the classic method or the new method? I want to upload with classic, please. I don't want to learn a new way to upload. Fuck off, YouTube. Stop bothering me. Elapsed time 2.5 hours. It took 2.5 hours to render the video that's only 55 minutes long. Jeez, that's not good. And it's still doing stuff. Why does it say 100% if it's not done? That's what 100% means. If it's still doing stuff, then it's not 100% by definition. Petrov's in here, everyone. Yeah, probably right. I was looking on Kickstarter, and I was going to make a Kickstarter for it, but there's like some of the rules I don't think would work with what I'm doing. Alright, it's finally completely done. Closing that. And let's save this. Close that. Now, over here, I'm going to upload. Whoop, spinning up those hard drives. Alright. We're gonna get some hashtags going. Advanced settings. Do I want to have it scheduled? Premiere. I want to have it scheduled premiere. Okay. And the scheduled time, I'm just going to put 5 p.m. because I don't know how long it's going to take to upload. I'll change it if it's not done in time. March 15th. No, today. March 14th. 5 p.m. Premiere today. Alright. We're set up. I have not talked to Craft Chest since I made that video. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he really is on coke. Maybe he's in rehab right now. the cook now situation. Come now, corn, go. What? Are you okay? I'll tell you who did respond to one of my videos was the HB the Legend. Apparently his YouTube channel is still up. I thought it was down. He sent me a link to the song the other day. Maybe we can listen to that. I never did listen to it. Where did he send me that? It's on one of my videos, wasn't it? Let me just scour the comments. Everything's really slow. We're up to 32 viewers. That's good. I think the viewers build. I don't know if I want to just sit here and watch myself for an hour. Maybe I'll go take a break while it plays. And come back. I feel like I might be using some of my toilet paper supplies tonight. Where is HB the Legends comment? I'm trying to go back to my older videos, but I can't seem to get there. That goes my craft chest video that you responded to. Maybe we'll play a rap song tonight. What's up, Fabian? It's going pretty good. Well, let's see it on this video. Weird stuff at Walmart. Why can I not search my own comments? Oh, maybe that's what I gotta do. Yeah, I gave him my email. He's supposed to email it to me, I think. I didn't get any email. Craft chest visit when we brought the fleshlight and you were in like a drive-through. Did I? Thought I re-uploaded those. Aftershocks. No, he didn't send me no video or song. Unless it got spammed. 16th February? No, I don't think he sent it. Can't believe I wrote all this crap out. And I talked for 55 minutes and it's all written down. It's like so much text. This is like 2 weeks of work. You guys don't even know. And I had to talk really fast to get it to like be under an hour. Because I was trying to make it like kind of short as possible. Yeah, that was crazy. I just happened to look outside and see Crouch's car sitting there at Burger King. Oh shit, we're down to 23 again. Where'd everybody go? Let's see what the percentage is. We're at 28% uploaded. I got 23 or 4 minutes until the premiere time. Hopefully we can beat that. How long did it take us to get up to 27%? Was it only like 5 minutes or something? Oh, we're gonna make it in time if that's the case. Yeah. 30%. Let's figure this out. It's 31. Somebody start counting. 31. We're at 437. We're at 31%. Maybe I should get on Storm's Discord and try to hype it up on there too. 32%. So that was like 1% in less than a minute. So we need like 68%. That'll be probably about less than 30 minutes. 33%. And 33, 37, 34, 37. Yeah, so we're getting about 3% a minute. We need 66 more percent. That's about 11 minutes. Yeah, we got about 11 minutes, boys. It's midnight in the EU. You sure about that? Should it be like 10 o'clock in England? I don't know about the other parts. How many time zones are there in the EU? Because we just went to standard time again, I think. We sprung forward. Alright, so the video is about Power Level the World Project is what's called. I'm taking the ideas that I had when I was in my backyard, where I was treating the world as if it was a game, and I was leveling up my skills and different things, and I figured out a way to make that a global phenomenon where everyone can participate. We're going to form an organization. We're going to have an app built in. We're going to track skills. We're going to use it to like get jobs, solve the problems of the world. We're going to have contingency plans for like catastrophes like we're in right now, like this global pandemic, or if there's a nuclear war. I've got it all figured out. We're going to use the skill leveling in real life to make everyone better and improve the world. And it's a very neat little way that I came up with when I was at work. I was looking at some news articles, and also I was reading The Stand, Stephen King book, which is about a big disease that wipes out or most of the population. And the coronavirus was going on at the same time. And I got a lot of these ideas, and I started thinking about stuff when I was a kid. And you'll see. Just hang in there about 10 more minutes. Where are we at right now? 41%. So if I do it as a premiere and I'm live, how does that work? Do I need to restart the stream? What is a YouTube premiere? I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I want to play some music. Are they going to ban me if I do? Are they going to kick me off? The virus doesn't really worry me, but like people hoarding stuff where I can't get supplies kind of worries me. Because I think I got one of those, like, you know how some people never get the flu because they have like broad spectrum antibodies or white blood cells that kind of just handle all types of viruses. I think I'm one of those people because I've never had the flu that I know of. I get like a cold every year. Like the flu, people describe it and I'm like, that doesn't sound like anything I've ever had. But yeah, I saw a video where a guy who was like the first European in China, Wuhan, that got the coronavirus and he lived through it. And he was saying it started out like a cold, like a common cold, and it got better, so he thought he was over it. And then it turned into the flu, and then that was like a really bad flu. But then he got over that, and it started getting better. And then it turned into pneumonia, and he's having like upper respiratory stuff and just having trouble breathing. And I guess like you need steroidal antibiotics or something like that, and stuff like that. Or if you're an old person or a child, or you're like susceptible to that kind of thing, you have a weakened immune system, then you're going to be in trouble. But for like most people, it's just like, it's painful and annoying, but it's not really that bad. You just get over it. It's like most flus. I was fooling around with the drums a little bit the other day. I've kind of like detuned them a lot so that it has like a more hollow sound. I need to get some of those coated coverings. I think that's what I need to make it sound good. Because I just got the default plastic ones that come with it. I keep hearing this guy at this church next door play the drums a lot. I need to get him to teach me. Oh. So the song that I've been like stuck in my head is this one. Actually in the living room. Oh damn. 30 years. Permanent damage to their lungs. Oh jeez. Should I stop playing the music? Am I going to get banned? I mean, I'm trying to get everybody hyped. How the fuck do you get people hyped if you can't play fucking music on YouTube? Jesus Christ. What is wrong with the world? Can't even play hype music anymore. Jeez. It'd be bad if I did all this work for 2 weeks and like made all this hour-long video and like uploaded it and like went through this 2-hour process, and then it's like, oh, we just disabled your account. You've been banned for playing copyrighted music. I mean, geez, just don't pay me monies then, or something, or send the money to somebody else. Who gives a shit? That was 4 Minutes to Save the World by Madonna and Justin Timberlake. Damage from evacuation pneumonia. Oh. But I was hyped up right then. What's the other song about saving the world? Sullivan King. That's some good hype music for this video. It's about saving the world. Okay, we are at 64%. Come on. Speed this up, game. Let's go. Or it's not a game, but whatever. We're back up to 32 viewers. $65. Okay. Let's see if I covered everything that I had in my phone notes. Oh yeah, I left that part out. Left that out on purpose. Oh man, this covers every. Oh shit! I forgot about that. I guess I can add on to this video later on. I just needed to get something out there. Yeah. So 68%. What do you guys use as your alarm clock music on your phone or whatever you use? James Bond thing. Is there even words to it? There's no words to that. Oh wait, there is later when the chicks are like swimming around and stuff. This is my alarm clock music, and see what you guys think about it. Because think about when you wake up in the morning, it's like time traveling. I don't have it this long. It's not like the beginning part of it. This is a long intro. Where the hell's the thing? There it is. Welcome to the future. You wake up, you're in the goddamn future. That is a cool alarm song. So that's from Trials Fusion. Yeah, that's why are all my viewers like old school viewers? I need to get some new viewers. That's a thing I need to work on. What do you mean you have no alarm? What do you do? Just wake up like a damn vampire? Here I am. Trials Fusion, the one where you ride motorcycles up and down ramps. 79%. Does anybody have any foods that they hate? Anything you can't stand? Mine's celery. It's not a whole lot of things I don't like. Embrace socialism. Ah. Should I get like a glass of like water and put a sticker on it that says coronavirus and then drink it? Would that get views? It's the coronavirus challenge. Green beans and tomatoes? That was my old alarm clock. Greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, ham, yam, all. We got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Bat soup. Okay. Yeah, I don't eat that either. I don't like mint. Anything minty. Usually. I should get some of that mint chocolate chip ice cream, see if I like it. But like usually if you eat something that's minty, it's like eating toothpaste. It's gross. Getting pretty warm in this drug road. I like broccoli. Put some cheese on this shit. Yee. Put some rice with it, or some cauliflower. Maybe some chopped up mushrooms in there. Put it in a casserole. It is at 88%. We are getting up there, boys. I really want to see what you guys think about this, because I think it's an amazing idea. I'm going to take this off. I want to get some Rocky Road or without marshmallows in it. Because I got something the other day and it was like, you waste too much of the ice cream with the marshmallows. I like nuts and chocolate ice cream right now. I'm digging it. It's my Rick and Morty shirt. I haven't worn this in a while. What? Eating bats? Are you serious? I'm gonna look this up. I feel like this is gonna be like 2 Girls 1 Cup or something, but coronavirus not linked to bat soup. Health.com. But here's what researchers think may be to blame. Video recently surfaced of a Chinese woman holding an entire bat with chopsticks, appearing to eat the creature in soup. YouTube channel RT shared the footage. Was met with outrage by Twitter users, began calling out Chinese eating habits as caused the outbreak. Yeah, they need to stop eating dogs for sure, though. Wang Mingyun is a host of an online travel show who was actually eating a dish in Palau, island country located in the Western Pacific Ocean. What? Palau's a real place? I thought that was just in, what is it, Just Cause? That's cool. That's a real place. I'm sorry, everyone. I should not have eaten a bat, she said, according to South China Morning Post. I had no idea during filming that there was such a virus. I realized it only recently. So she's apologizing for it, even though she didn't give us a coronavirus? MERS and SARS are coronaviruses also. Okay, this novel coronavirus is believed to have started in a large seafood or wet market, suggesting animal to person spread. According to the CDC, but a large number of people diagnosed with the virus reportedly didn't have exposure to the wet markets, indicating the person to person spread of the virus is also occurring. Infected animal at the market, and then went on to person transmissions once people were infected. The protein codes of 2019 NCOV were most like those used in snakes. Snakes often hunt bats in the wild because snakes are sold at seafood markets in Wuhan. The novel coronavirus may have jumped from bats to snakes to humans at the beginning of the outbreak. It's hard to figure this out because Wuhan seafood market has recently been disinfected and shut down. Wow. What was the AIDS was like a green monkey virus, right? Okay, we're at the processing stage. It's been 100% uploaded. We're getting ready to play the video, everyone. Any minute now. I got it set for 5 o'clock. We're like 3 or 4 minutes out. 3 minutes out. We're just going to let it go and see what happens, because I want to see how this works. Snake eating a snake with the virus, and the bat eating the snake turned into a snake bat virus, and the virus human ate the bat, and it somehow jumped and fused 3 proteins in the strand and became a snake bat. Okay. Bushmeat. They actually believe Americans did it? Crazy bastards. Okay. So I don't know how this is going to work. This is all new to me. I've never premiered a video before like this. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's still a processing, and processing is going to take probably more than 3 minutes, 2 minutes for like an hour-long video. It may take a little bit longer than 5 o'clock. Let's set this for like, I can set it for 5:15. I don't want another 15 minutes. We'll wait and see what happens. I don't know. Let's go to my channel and see if it pops up. We're gonna save the world tonight. Okay, do you guys see it on my homepage where it says Parallel of the World Project? 5 p.m. premieres. Do I need to shut this stream down? Or what? How's it gonna... I use Sony Vegas. Yeah. That guy knows. Man, this is annoying. Processing has not even gone up a percent. Because it's all on YouTube's end, and I don't get to see it, I don't think, until it's done. Sometimes. Sometimes it be that way. It's weird. $38 viewers. We're getting high on viewers now, guys. It's a good time for it to play the video. Empty stream. What does that mean? I don't know if I click it. Premiere will begin shortly. Oh, it's got its own stream in there. Also, it just like gives it its own chat. Okay. I mean, it can't play the video at 5 if it doesn't have it processed yet. So, I guess it'll play it as soon as it's done processing. Which, according to my thing, is still at 0%. I'll just fucking with you guys. I ain't got no video. I'm just fucking with you. Nah. I really do have a video coming. Be a hell of a troll, though. Just be dicking around on a stupid stream for nothing. Alright. But the Premiere doesn't have my camera in it, so I'm going to have a live stream and a Premiere going at the same time, I guess. And I'll just play the video in my stream when it comes up. Wait, I've got the video, right? I made the video. Fuck it, guys. We can do it right now. Alright, what am I talking about? I've got the video. I made the video. What are we talking about? What are we doing here? Alright. Where'd I put the video, though? Alright, we're gonna play it for you. Fuck it. Doing it live. Literally. Date modified. Here we go. Alright, you guys. How do I get this on this? Do I do that? Alright. Are you guys ready? I'm just kidding. I'm sure you're ready. Alright. Let's crank the volume. Adjust your sets. And let's do this. And let's stretch it out to about like this. Is that gonna look good? Fuck it, I'll have it on full screen. You guys will see. And here we go. Hello, my name is T2 Darlanton and I make YouTube videos. I'm known for many things, but one of those things is coming up with big ideas. So I've always enjoyed watching TED Talks, and I had this big idea I call the Power Level of the World Project, skill trees for the game of life. And I decided the best way to get the idea across was to do a PowerPoint presentation in the style of a TED Talk. So this is my first time using PowerPoint. I think I did a pretty good job with it, and it's also the first time doing a completely scripted video. So what do I mean by Power Level of the World? Well, I'm a gamer, and I discovered that treating the world like a game not only made doing simple tasks more rewarding, it actually made them fun and almost addictive. In role-playing games, you get hooked on leveling up, and by doing the same thing over and over again, you get better at it, and you unlock more skills, and you also collect achievements, similar to earning merit badges when I used to be a Boy Scout. But the term power leveling comes from when one player who's high level and has a lot of skills takes a low-level person along with them and mentors them, so they gain the same experience that the more skilled person obtains. So that's where the Power Level of the World project takes the same concept and applies it to the real world. So I had one big idea to make life feel like a game that originally was based on Boy Scouts and merit badges and leveling up your skills to get people interested in themselves and bettering themselves. But the idea grew and expanded into 4 steps that I think can improve society. These phases are based on age groups that overlap, and in the same way, certain skills in video games can't be unlocked at the very beginning of the game. For example, in life you can't do certain things until you're 18 or 21 for legal reasons. So phase 1 is mainly for young people from the age of 6 until 22. But since this is the building blocks for the later phases, this would really stay with you your whole life, or as long as you wanted to be active with it. Phase 2 can be started around the age of 16. This is around the time people start thinking about going to college and looking for a job, which is mainly what it's about. Phase 3 can be started around the age of 21 until around 40 or maybe older, depending on the person. Again, you can stick with it if you want to. And Phase 4 isn't really a program you participate in, but it's what I hope the other 3 phases can develop into in the future if this becomes as big as I hope it can and it's accepted as the standard by society. So the first phase involves creating a new youth mentorship organization. This would replace the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts with one organization that unifies everyone regardless of their gender. This is basically what the Boy Scouts were starting to do recently when they started allowing girls to join, but we'll get more to that in a second. Just like with the Equal Opportunity Employment Act, it wouldn't discriminate based on race, national origin, religion, etc. And the main goal of this organization would be to provide a pathway for kids to learn useful skills and become respectable members of society later in life, or what I'm going to call a civilian for the purposes of this project. This would start at age 6 or first grade, and by the age of 18 or 22, most people would be into Phase 2. But if you wanted to, you could still stay active in this youth mentorship program as a mentor. I like to think of Phase 2 as a skill sharing program that takes all the basic skills you learned in Phase 1 and carries them on into your career path, and helps you transition from high school to getting your first job or choosing what to major in college, and providing you human resource tools like instantly creating a resume from your skill tree, or showing you which trade schools in your area provide classes on what you want to learn. And this would form partnerships with job placement programs, temp agencies, and schools that would link directly to your skill tree depending on what path you're on. Just like earning merit badges in Boy Scouts, you can choose a certification you want, like an A+ CompTIA certification for building computers, commercial driver's license for driving a freight truck, an HVAC license if you want to work in heating and air conditioning, or if you want to be a plumber, that license has different levels such as journeyman and master plumber licenses, which will be achievements on your skill tree. And as long as you have a smartphone, you can download the skill tree as an app so anyone can have access to it, whether it's someone recovering from addiction or veterans that can't find work, or people that just got out of prison and they're living in adverse conditions. It would give everyone a chance at bettering themselves. This would start at about 16 when most people will start thinking about college and will be useful until you retire. So now that we've improved our younger generation and they're learning new skills and becoming useful members of society, and our young adults are motivated to level those skills up and get careers they're excited about, we have a good civilization going on. So what do we do to protect the society we've created? We plan for disaster and come up with contingency plans. Phase 3 begins by restoring the civil defense program that existed in the United States back during the Cold War. It was expanded in 1968, and you may remember it as the guys who came up with the duck and cover ads that told children to hide under their desks when they see a flash from an atomic bomb. But today, more than ever, we're on the verge of a pandemic, and the ice caps are melting, forest fires are getting out of control, and nuclear war is still a possibility. There are many different ways society can fall apart, and Phase 3 will be about preparing for it and putting it back together. When I get into the details of the skill tree, you'll see that a lot of the skills I want kids to learn are older, forgotten forms of technology that would be useful in the event of a technological collapse. And this would establish a network of civil engineers so that a certain number of people know how to turn the power back on and keep the water clean, and other things that are necessary for civilization to thrive. I would also like to see civilian militias that are trained separately from the government in the case of a collapse from within the government, and a safeguard against tyranny. You can start joining this program from the age of 21 and actively participate until about 40 or whatever age you're able to. So Phase 4 is what I mentioned earlier. That is what I hope this will grow into in the future. I'm hoping that my idea of a skill tree becomes a standard that everyone's judged by, and people have a skill rating that's based on their abilities that have been verified to be accurate. Some people have had the idea that you should have to take an IQ test before you're allowed to vote. Well, this is similar to that, but it's based on your abilities, not necessarily your IQ. I want to see complete democratic reform in the government, not just the United States government, but in the world. Our current representative government is completely useless and obsolete. It was established back during a time when the only way the states could communicate to the federal government was with the Pony Express, so each state had representatives in Washington, D.C. to speak for the citizens in Congress. In an age where we have the internet, this is ridiculous. Every person can communicate with the government directly if we set it up that way. The entire system needs to be rebuilt and rethought from the ground up. I want to replace the electoral voting system that are based on the region where you live, as if that makes any sense, to votes that are based on the industry you're involved in, or that you most care about. If you're a farmer and there's a vote on a bill that is about GMO crops or something to do with farming, a farmer should have more say in the matter than someone who knows nothing about farming. Or if there's a bill that might send the army to war, the military and veterans should have more to say about that than someone who isn't going to be involved. I want to establish a meritocracy where your voting power is directly proportional to your ability rating, so if you're an expert on a subject, the vote will reflect it. So where did this idea come from? Well, at my new job, we had to do some updated workplace training about emergency procedures, and being a new employee, I had the standard ones that everybody else had already completed, along with 30 or so new ones, ranging from scenarios like tornado drills to fire alarms to chemical spills, medical emergencies, active shooter situations, power outages, and so on. And each training was basically done on a website with a flash tutorial and a little quiz at the end, and you would print out a certificate that would go in your personnel file, and it almost became like a game to collect them all, sort of like Pokemon. My boss told me a story about a guy who got his arm caught in a chain hoist, and it ripped his arm off, and another employee took his belt off and made a tourniquet and saved his life. And I remembered when I was in Boy Scouts and learned how to make a tourniquet for my first aid merit badge. And then I started thinking about how the Boy Scout merit badges worked in a similar manner to get people to want to do things and learn new skills. If you made it fun and interesting, it wasn't annoying like doing homework. So first I want to talk about the youth mentorship program. I'm going to talk about why we need something new to replace the current programs, and then I'm going to talk about the importance of having a secular staff and secular venues. Then I'm going to talk about the changes that would make my group different from the current scouting groups and what they got right, just like separating the wheat from the chaff. Then I'm going to talk about activities I would like to see happen during a basic year, such as meetings and camping trips, and some new stuff that hasn't really been done yet. So why do we need to replace the Boy Scouts? There are two main reasons. Let me tell you a quick story. When I was in the Scouts with my brother, we did a fundraiser to raise money for summer camp. The cost per person was around $80, so we had a car wash and we sold popcorn to raise the money. That year was great. Summer camp was fun. We had no issues. The next year we found out that we could go to summer camp for free. By the way, my scout troop held their meetings at a Mormon church, and the leadership were involved with the church. So once we got to the camp, it was like a 3-hour drive, and we found out that we were at summer camp a week or two before all the other troops were going to show up. We were told that we would be having morning prayers and a group shower, because I don't even know what that was about. And then we were going to help set up the camp for the other troops, like putting cots and beds where they were supposed to go and stuff. It felt really weird and cringy, so we just called our dad and had him come pick us up. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it just felt wrong, like we barely escaped something. Be it indoctrination because we weren't Mormons, we just went to scout meetings at the Mormon church, or maybe worse. Anyway, you may have heard that the Boy Scouts recently declared bankruptcy because they were riddled with child abuse cases, much like the Catholic Church. I've read different articles on it. Some say it goes all the way back to the 20s, others say the 40s, but like the Catholic priests, the scoutmasters were moved around and it was covered up apparently. This is a huge problem, and I'm assuming the Boy Scouts won't be able to recover from the scandal, but I have my doubts. So the Girl Scouts need to be replaced because girls aren't really interested in it anymore. They see the Boy Scouts having campouts and doing fun activities, and they decided to change the Boy Scouts to allow girls to join. This caused a huge fuss, of course, because of the name Boy Scouts and people saying that boys need their own separate place to get together without worrying about doing something offensive to girls, which I can understand, but I think they can be combined into one non-gendered organization, and maybe have certain times when the different genders can do their own thing, if it's really necessary. And then you have other youth mentorship programs like the Boys and Girls Clubs that you hear about celebrities that used to belong to them and how they get donations, but nobody really knows what they do. It seems like the Big Brothers Big Sisters program that deals with underprivileged kids, but how it deals with them, I have no idea. So like I said, a typical Boy Scout meeting usually takes place in some kind of a church. They don't force you into a specific religion, but they do maintain that no member can grow into the best kind of citizen without recognizing an obligation to God. Just like Alcoholics Anonymous, they don't care what your higher power is as long as you recognize that there is one. So if you can avoid the obvious indoctrination tactics, you may be able to find a Boy Scout troop that doesn't push its beliefs on you from the start. Then you have the opening ceremonies, which takes up most of your time repeating the same rituals and traditions. You have to know the Scout sign, the salute, the handshake. Sometimes there's flag ceremonies. You recite the Boy Scout oath and the law. There's also the Scout motto and an outdoor Scout law. And they're all about rules and regulations and pointless waste of time. I have the same problem with Congress when they get into parliamentary procedure, but it's supposed to be useful to keep a large group of people from speaking all at once. But small organizations like this, it's just stupid and cringy. Like the FFA does the same thing. So once you're finally ready to begin the meeting, there might be some announcements if you have a camp out planned or something's coming up, or you can talk about merit badges people are working on, or you might plan a trip out into the field to do some orienteering and learn how a compass works. Then you probably will break off into smaller patrol groups that each has a patrol leader and talk about how to work on your ranks or your merit badges. Or I remember my particular patrol, we spent a lot of time designing our patrol badge because we named ourselves the Thunder Chickens and we wanted a chicken standing on a mountain with lightning in the background. But we didn't actually accomplish that much. That's what I want to change about this. Alright, so just a quick bunch of statistics I gathered doing this research. The Boy Scouts have around $1.4 billion in assets and holdings. I guess they actually own a lot of land. I'm not really sure why. I'm still researching it. And they make around $285 million annually. This is actually way less than Girl Scouts, who are primarily focused on selling cookies, and they make $742 million and have a similar $1.3 billion in assets. So the Boys and Girls Clubs surprisingly have more than both these scouting groups combined, with over $4 billion and $2.2 billion annually. But you have to remember they have celebrity connections and clubs all over the country providing such after-school programs as Power Hour, Smart Girls, Smart Moves, Image Makers, RBI, Project Learn, and other programs for teens that I've honestly never heard of. They actually make more money than the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association combined, and I actually know what those groups do. So we want a new youth mentorship program to replace the Scouts that's non-gender specific, but what to call it? At first I had the idea that the skill tree could be divided into regions called Frontiers, so I thought of Frontier Scouts. But I really wanted to separate my group from the Scouts and all the baggage it comes with. So I broke out the old Power Thesaurus and I started looking for synonyms for Scouts, and I came up with Skill Explorers, then the Pioneer Guides, and then I looked for synonyms for types of arenas of skills, and I came up with the Field Rangers, which I think sounds really good. It has a dual meaning because you learn a wide range of skills in different fields, but you're also doing stuff outdoors, sometimes in fields. And a ranger is a type of scout. I also thought the name Bravo Company sounded cool because Bravo also means good job, but maybe that can be a subset sort of thing like the Boy Scouts has the Order of the Arrow. But we'll get more into Frontiers in a bit. I'm sure most of you know what a Boy Scout uniform looks like. It's basically what Steve Irwin used to wear, basic khaki zookeeper outfit with the most distinguishing characteristic being the neckerchief. Unless you're wearing the merit badge sash, which is mostly for formal occasions. So I thought the Field Rangers could have their own identifying clothing. Maybe not a full uniform, but something to distinguish them from everyone else. So at first I thought of the Shimal, which is used in the Middle East by Marines and it looks cool. But it's really suited for the desert or a cold environment, not just for everyday use. Then I thought of how in World of Warcraft you have a guild tabard. But that would probably look ridiculous in real life, and I want my organization to be taken seriously and not look like a bunch of cosplayers, unless we're specifically doing a cosplaying event. I searched through a bunch of military surplus clothing, and I found a coat called a mod coat that seemed to look pretty nice, and it kind of stands out from what the military is currently wearing. I wanted to be sure people didn't confuse the older Field Rangers with active duty military. So I was looking at stuff from older eras like World War I Romanian and Hungarian trench coats, and I ended up with some pea coats that I think look pretty good. Flared ones with skirts for women or big collared lapels for men, maybe reserved for higher ranks. Any gender can wear whichever they choose, but I think it's also interesting to have a reward for leveling up, so it feels like you're playing a game. Younger kids will see the older ones with different outfits and they'll want to be like them. Then I said to myself, let's go see what a Girl Scout uniform actually looks like. I remember when I was in Boy Scouts, you had a lot of options for what kind of hat you could wear, and the coolest one in my opinion was the red beret. And berets can be worn anywhere, and they're associated with the military, and they can have emblems and insignia displayed on them, and they come in a variety of colors. And I was like, yeah, berets, that's got to be it. The colors can represent these frontiers I've been thinking about. I was thinking that the green could represent the outdoors, and black represents oil, so it's the industrial frontier. Blue is kind of like the UN colors, so maybe the medical frontier for that one. Then remember that blaze orange is probably better for safety when kids are in the woods where they could be hunting or someone could get lost and you could use it as a signal. So I changed green to the final frontier, which may end up being mostly military type jobs anyway in phase 2. And this is a random picture of this weird Asian lookbook website I thought was kind of similar to what I'm going for with the uniform, but the beret is like 2 different colors and the pants look homeless and lose those clown shoes. But you can get a vague idea of the look. Just imagine it not being so ragged and homeless. This looks like if the Field Rangers survived an apocalypse, sort of they were in a dystopian future like the Terminator movies. Anyway, let's talk about frontiers and merit badges. So this is just an early draft of how the skill tree could be divided up, and it's still a work in progress, but I know 2 of the main frontiers would be your outdoor skills, like survival-based stuff that Boy Scouts are known for, and industrial skills that will mainly carry over into phase 2, like things you would learn in a trade school for your job and career later on. The medical frontier I included because I've heard it called a frontier before, but there's not a lot of skills I can think of besides basic first aid, CPR, that it would be safe to teach younger kids. Then you have the digital frontier, which would include all sorts of computer-related things, such as coding, robotics, networking, social media, animation, that sort of thing. Then I put the modern frontier down as sort of a catch-all for everything that didn't fit into the other groups, but I might change this later to military-type stuff and have a separate category for household-related skills, for example, cooking and food service hospitality industry, homemaking type skills. That will be something the Girl Scouts are currently doing. And then I thought of the final frontier, and I basically was thinking how in phase 2 I want the skill tree to reflect every job you can think of, from unskilled labor for your first job at McDonald's to the President of the United States or an astronaut. And of course I immediately thought of Trump's Space Force. And by the way, I've always been interested in asteroid mining and science fiction books, which nobody is really preparing for right now, but imagine if the Field Rangers were doing things to already be trained for when that day comes. But also the final frontier could include civil service type jobs such as police, military, mailmen, firemen, lawyers, politicians. Hopefully if phase 3 works out, we'll need way less politicians, but we'll see about that. This is a mind map that I threw together, which you'll see a better version of in phase 2. It's kind of like a video game. You have some skills that are prerequisites to later skills, and 2 skills from different trees can merge into one. For example, if you're on the industrial path and you've learned workplace safety and driving skills, You may be eligible to learn equipment operator skills, to learn how to use forklifts, cranes, and heavy machinery like tractors and excavators. This will lead into a career in farming or mining, but if you've also learned the skills in the outdoor frontier like tree identification, which is a prerequisite for wilderness survival or arborist, then that could lead into being a forest ranger or the lumber industry. And if you combine machine operator from industry and lumber from outdoors, you get a modern day lumberjack that uses heavy machinery to harvest trees. This is just an example to show you how I'm imagining the skill tree would work, because in the center of the tree you'd have your easiest skills to obtain, and in phase 2 your easiest jobs to get. Jobs that require just the basics like a high school diploma and reliable transportation will be in your inner circle. As you move outwards, the jobs require more skills, more certifications, and you'd make more money. But we'll get more into that in phase 2. But the skill tree for the field rangers would either be its own separate entity, or it would be directly connected to your career skill tree, and it would be in the inner circle of the earlier skills. And the more skills you acquire, the higher your ability rating score will be. And if you reach a certain threshold, you level yourself up and you gain a higher rank, which I thought could be Pathfinder for the beginners, Trailblazers for those that have already seen the path but are now blazing a trail through it, Pioneers that are now using the trail blazed by the Trailblazers, Scouts that are scouting ahead to see what the future brings, and Rangers that have mastered the trails and are now ranging across all fields of expertise. And lastly, the Warden rank would be reserved for adults that are past the age of the Field Rangers, like 22, but stay in the program to be involved and teach and run the program like a Scoutmaster for a Boy Scout troop would. The main hurdle to overcome in establishing an organization like this is to avoid the problems that are currently plaguing the Boy Scouts, and that is predatory adults that take advantage of kids. I'm not entirely sure what the best method is to filter out the good from the bad, but the Boy Scouts seem to be doing a type of buddy system where at least 2 adults are always present, and usually one of them is a relative or a trusted adult. Separation of church and state is a great idea our forefathers came up with, but I'd go a step farther and separate the organization from church and state altogether. With the Jeffrey Epstein case in the news and the situation with the Catholic priests, it appears that neither one can be trusted to take care of our children. So I would try to avoid using churches as venues for field ranger meetings and activities. Instead, look for public venues like libraries or other buildings that have conference rooms that the public can use. I recently saw a video on YouTube of a library in Las Vegas that had amazing facilities and a big conference room that I thought would be perfect for this type of thing. So I assume there are other places like this out there. Some skills like swimming, we may find it's unavoidable not to use the YMCA, which stands for Young Men's Christian Association, because that's where most people are able to access a public swimming pool, but they don't seem to push the Christian part on people that I've seen. It's also good for people to know what public places they have access to, especially public lands for hunting, fishing, and camping, because most people don't realize the abundance of wealth they own just by being an American. But speaking of America, I'd want to avoid the field rangers becoming too intertwined with any government agencies, because I hope it can become a global phenomenon. So we need safeguards against abuse, which just being separate from government and religion should be a good start, and we need to find volunteers that are interested in altruism for its own sake. I don't want people signing up to be a volunteer if they're expecting to get something out of it other than its own reward, or take advantage of vulnerable kids that are the next generation of society. But I believe the kids of tomorrow are going to be much less vulnerable if the Field Rangers and the Power Level Project takes off. Another thing I would change from Scouts is the fundraising. I'm not saying Girl Scout cookies aren't successful, but modern problems require modern solutions. That's why I think subscription boxes are the fundraising wave of the future. Back in the 80s, you only heard about Cheese of the Month clubs or Wine of the Month clubs, but nowadays there are billions of types of subscription boxes that send you random stuff in the mail, from clothing and accessories like Bespoke Post and Stitch Fix to food products like Blue Apron. Or for the people that don't want to spend that much money, you have like MeUndies and Dollar Shave Club. Or for the gamers out there, I'm sure you've heard of Loot Crate. The difference between selling subscriptions and a one-time sale like popcorn or candy bars is the gift keeps on giving throughout the year. Your customers will be reminded every month that the Field Rangers sold them their subscription because it keeps on coming in the mail. So what is the problem with merit badges? Well, for one thing, there's a lot of sewing involved. The Boy Scouts are supposed to learn to sew them on themselves, but let's be honest, it usually ends up being the moms that do all this work. It also looks more ridiculous the more you have. I'm still working on how to improve the concept of merit badges, but I'm sure it'll be some sort of digital device or an app that tracks them all. But I do want a way to display to other people the things you've done other than just your basic ability rating, something like the Warcraft Armory, but for real life. Also, merit badges will be different from the ones the Boy Scouts currently use, and I'll show you why they're not as good. Let's look at the aviation merit badge for this example, because it's one of the hardest ones to get. Most of the merit badge requirements have sections that are like this, where you have to do 2 of the following, and it lists a bunch of options. The first one is to take a flight in an aircraft. The second one is to perform a pre-flight inspection of the airplane. Now this seems like something that only a select few individuals are going to not only be able to do, but have access to. So what happens? Everyone always chooses to do the easiest possible tasks. Create a poster of an instrument panel and label it. Done. Learn how to read an aeronautical chart. That's easy enough, but then it wants you to measure a true course accounting for magnetic variation, compass deviation, and wind drift. This is where the counselors come in. A scout troop wants everyone to get these merit badges done, so more often than not, they're going to let some stuff slide. They're going to go, well, this looks good enough, and approve your crayon drawing of a plane flying over a map with an arrow that says east on it. The method for verifying that someone has achieved a skill is not very standardized. Remember, I want kids to learn actual useful skills with real-world applications like the people had back during Frontier America. I want skills that can be shown and demonstrated. Let's look at an example of one of my merit badges. Tree identification. So the first thing you learn is how to tell which trees have which leaves. This is something kids can learn at an early age, and they may even teach it in schools. Just for fun, if you have kids, go ask them how many trees they can identify from the leaves, and you might be surprised at how little they know about the world around them. Once they're able to pass the test correctly to match the leaves with the tree, we move on to the wood grain round. Wardens, which is our version of Scoutmasters, remember, would have a budget for the troop or the company or whatever we decide to call it, and depending on what merit badges the groups are interested in, they can spend that budget on things that the skills require. So for tree identification, they would go to Home Depot or Lowe's or someplace and purchase some samples of wood. They can be 2x4s or 1x6 or whatever is readily available. But you may want to get something that can also be used for carpentry or other skills that if you want to save money and kill two birds with one stone, you can have that wood for later. So the kids would need to be able to look at a piece of wood and tell you if it's birch or cherry or oak or cedar, and also what those different types of woods are best used for, because some are lighter and better to make a bow and arrow, for example, while some are more waterproof and some are dense and heavy and better for construction, like pine or oak. Once you're confident that they know what they're talking about to the same extent that a person that actually works in the wood section of the store would know what they're talking about, then you move on to the outdoor challenge. You would take the kids out to the woods and see if they can actually point out which trees are which by looking at the bark. Most people can tell what a pine tree is, but how many people can go out into the woods and point out a poplar tree? That's the real test. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure I could pass my own course right now, but I'm interested in learning about it. And I think kids would be too. And once they've mastered identifying trees, we'll teach them how to cut them down safely and make lumber out of them. And that's how it connects to Phase 2 and real-world applicable skills to get a career in the lumber industry, not just being able to work at Home Depot. That's the power of the skill tree system. Now let's look at how some different skills combine to form a larger node on the skill tree. Let's say you've been participating in the Field Rangers and you've gone to some campouts and you've learned the camping skill. You're taught different ways to stack wood and the different types of campfire lays and how to put up a tent and how to chop wood. Let's say you also learned some pioneering skills like tying knots and lashing pieces of wood together and making things. And you know some orienteering skills. You can tell which direction north is, how to navigate by the sun, and how rivers usually lead to civilization. Now you're ready for something a bit more challenging, so you tell your warden you want to learn survival skills. This is a higher level node that requires camping, pioneering, and orienteering before you can learn it, and it's worth more points than the lower level skills. Now you'll learn how to make a fire without matches or a lighter, which are many different methods from using friction in various ways to the most extreme method, which is probably using a ball of ice compressed into a ball as a lens to focus the rays of the sun like a magnifying glass. You'll learn how to make a survival shelter, which is going to be more work than a tent would be. You'll learn a lot of different methods to purify water that you found in the wild and which plants and mushrooms are safe to eat. You'll learn how long a person can survive without air, water, food, shelter, and what temperature your body heat needs to stay above, and how to prioritize your needs to know what to do in what order. And once you think you've mastered these skills of survival, you can challenge yourself to survive in the woods with nothing but a knife from Friday night until Sunday morning. If you can pass that test, you can earn your survival skill, but then you can challenge yourself further to last a week in the wild, or do survival challenges as a duo or a team that can possibly earn you more points. So here are some of the skills from the outdoor frontier that I've been thinking about how the prerequisites would work. We talked about the survival ones already. So boating, for example, there's the basic boating skill, which might include boating safety and terminology for parts of a boat, terms for water features like eddies and rapids. And once you've gotten the basics, you can move on to the higher levels, which are more demonstrable skills where you show that you can actually use a rowboat or a canoe. Then you move on to driving a motorboat and then to operating a sailboat. The highest level of each skill usually has a landmarked experience that I'll talk about in a minute. I've also got animal husbandry, which is a Boy Scout merit badge, like most of these are, that I thought were good enough to keep. Some of them were kind of pointless or hobbies, like coin collecting or stamp collecting or genealogy. There were skills like fly fishing that I thought could be just included in fishing, or some that have been added since I was in Boy Scouts, like disability awareness or railroading and nuclear science, that I don't really see them as feasible skills. But I will say I looked at the Girl Scout badges and they more recently added a bunch of STEM field stuff like robotics that I think is a great idea. But getting back to animal husbandry, this one goes into dog training and then to cattlemen and horsemanship. I thought this was interesting because where I live, we have a group called the Future Farmers of America, or the FFA, that teaches kids how to judge livestock for competitions or to be sold at auction. And you learn about different breeds of cows, and this is another organization that I think if Field Rangers takes off, it could absorb the FFA and it would be more efficient. The FFA also wastes a lot of time with the parliamentary procedure and traditional showiness that I mentioned that the Boy Scouts did earlier on. And moving on, you have tracking skills, then you have bird identification, and then game and predator tracks. Climbing goes into mountaineering, which would require the athletic skill from the modern tree as a crossover skill. Same with cycling and swimming. Hiking will lead into insect and reptile amphibian study, which are baits that can be used for fishing. And that leads into hunting, which would also require firearm safety of different disciplines. Soil conservation leads into landscaping and then gardening and farming. Animal knowledge leads into wildlife conservation. So you can see how a lot of these skills directly translate into a career path later in life. So what about firearm safety that I mentioned? I'm sure some people will say that it's too dangerous or controversial, especially people from other countries that don't have gun rights or liberals that don't agree with them. Along with the primitive and modern archery skills, I included shotgun, rifle, revolver, and semi-auto handgun skills after you learn firearm safety. The first hurdle you need to overcome is the appropriate age to learn these skills. Many people have very different ideas about that, and in the Midwest you may have kids learning to shoot guns at very early ages. I think the best method is starting out carrying a training pistol or a rubber gun. You teach the kids about muzzle safety and trigger discipline, and then you give them a fake gun, and you have them carry it around in a holster and treat it as if it was real, just like you would always treat a real gun, as if they are loaded. If you ever catch the child playing with the fake gun or not being safe with it, you can judge for yourself whether or not they will be able to learn the skill safely. And you may want to discontinue that skill. You also need a lot of parental involvement and permission slips. If the child can act responsibly, you can step them up to an airsoft or a BB gun. And you may have camping trips that has a shooting range or a clay pigeon trap throwing area. One of my fondest Boy Scout memories was a camping trip we did where we would shoot 22 rifles at targets, suspended on a fishing line, and try to cut the line. And we also shot clay pigeons with shotguns. 12 gauge shotguns probably have too much recoil for kids, but 20 gauge shotguns can probably be taught at age 14 or so. Revolvers and handguns should probably be reserved for 18 plus, and there are video training manuals like The Art of the Dynamic Handgun by Magpul that are very instructive. But I think the firearm skills should definitely not be overlooked, and I would like to see them encouraged on inner city youth and more liberal families to give them an idea of what they're about so they can make informed decisions. In the same way, I would encourage more of the arts and crafts skills onto the kids that are already familiar with firearms and outdoor skills so they can broaden their horizons. You may notice on this slide that the bottom pictures are 9 to 13-year-old girls doing 3-gun competitions that were trained by their ex-Marine dads. That's the kind of world I want to live in, where they're not just the outliers, but it's normal to see women that can defend themselves. You teach kids to be responsible with dangerous weapons, and you get a society that behaves responsibly. So now that you've got a group of responsible kids carrying fake guns around, what do? Well, the other controversial skill is crime prevention, and it's possibly dangerous for 2 reasons. The main requirement is participating in a neighborhood watch program, and if you run into real criminals, that can be dangerous. Usually a criminal is going to be very nervous about harming a child because the ramifications are magnified. But anything can happen, so the safest thing to do is to keep your distance from anything that seems suspicious and call the police if you think a crime is happening. The second part that makes it dangerous is that the police are more likely to kill someone than a terrorist these days. So it might even be better to have designated adults that you call first, and they can check it out and decide if and when to involve the police. But you also have to worry about citizens calling the police and the police seeing these fake guns on kids and assuming they're real. Currently there's a movement going on of First and Second Amendment auditors that are trying to normalize the police seeing people out late at night or carrying weapons, because in America there's nothing inherently illegal about it with the Second Amendment. This is an ongoing problem, but if you have enough people doing it, eventually it will get better. Just like everything, it's about education. If the police are working with the field ranger group and they know ahead of time that the kids will be out on the street with fake guns, that might be good enough in some places, but each parent would have to make their own decision whether they want their child to participate. Those that do participate can also use handheld radios to communicate with each other and use codes and signals that are useful in law enforcement career fields. Some skills that you learn will need to be updated every few years because techniques change and technology evolves. For example, CPR is a first aid skill that has changed over the years because we've discovered better ways of doing it. Boy Scout merit badges have changed over the years too, like the computer's merit badge has changed to digital technology. But constantly having to re-update your skills causes your ability rating to fluctuate and keeps you involved, rather than just constantly increasing. Another thing I've learned is that if you really want to solidify something you learned into your memory, it helps to teach what you know to someone else. This is why I think it would be a good idea to have higher level skills that require that you teach the prerequisite lower level skills to lower ranked members. This would force the older kids to interact with the younger kids and keep them from separating into groups by age, and the younger ones from feeling left out. Also, delegating some of the authority to the higher ranks teaches the older kids leadership abilities, and it gives the field warden or the scoutmaster more time to teach other kids and organize events. So if you've ever played the game I Never, then you know there are certain things in life that are milestones that add to your experience as a person. These are the landmark experiences that I mentioned before, and they're similar to a bucket list or activities you want to do during your lifetime or something to be proud of. Shooting each type of firearm or bow, driving a motorboat, going to summer camp, completing a survival challenge, these are all milestones. Also, by the time you're an adult, it's cool to be able to say you've ridden a horse, or climbed a mountain, or caught a fish, or killed a deer and skinned it yourself. Everyone should learn how to swim in case they ever have to. Riding to another town on your bicycle is something you should do if you're serious about biking. If you take a martial arts class, you should at least try to get a green belt. How many kids can say they've cut down a fully grown tree before? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Build a table or a desk by yourself. Go out and find an ore vein in a cave sometime. Perform in a play or make your own movie. Conduct an interview with somebody you admire. Build a robot and compete in a robot competition. You can even do things like winning a sports tournament or visiting a state capitol to add points to your ability rating. I recently saw a job application from a guy where I work that he included that he had won some basketball tournaments back in the 80s, and I thought it was weird because he's basically an old man at this point. And I'm sure he doesn't have the same skills now as he did then, but people that hire you for a job might see that as a valuable asset for being a member of a successful team. So I think these type of landmark achievements or milestones should be counted towards your ability rating because they're actually useful for getting a job. Now this is a mock-up schedule I made just to give you an example of what the Field Rangers might do in a typical year other than regular meetings where you work on your skills and neighborhood watches. I can see the Field Rangers becoming such a normal thing that it might become an after-school extracurricular activity and have daily meetings in school libraries or rooms like some schools have the JROTC or sports practices. I want it to eventually be so commonplace that it's weird if you're not a Field Ranger because everyone has ability ratings and they're being used to kind of get a feel for how talented people are. And if you don't have a rating, it would just seem kind of odd. Kind of like how you don't have to have a driver's license, but everybody does. So I have spring and fall campouts on the last weekends of March and September, and a week-long summer camp in the last week of May. That's 3 big campouts a year, but there could be more. Then I put a remote-controlled vehicle meet in April, a fishing tournament in June, a Bike Across America event in July because you want a lot of summer activities. And during the winter months, you could stay indoors and work on robotics competition entries like making your own BattleBot. I think swimming competitions are usually held in the winter too, so you'd spend a lot of time at the YMCA indoors. You could also explore caves and do arts and crafts events and tons of stuff I haven't really thought of yet. I'm just barely scratching the surface of activities, and this is the part I would really enjoy working on as the founder of the Field Rangers. Now I haven't decided what the name of a local group of Field Rangers should be, but for now I'm going to use guilds or maybe chapters. And these guilds or chapters could be broken up into smaller squads of kids that are working on different merit badges or skills, which correlates to a Boy Scout troop broken up into patrols. What the Boy Scouts don't do, or at least that I ever saw, except maybe at a jamboree, is to have competitions between Boy Scout troops or guild versus guild PvP situations. In addition to regular sports like volleyball or softball games, they can have Field Ranger frisbee golf matches between chapters. Also, 3-gun competitions, fishing tournaments, or robotics competitions could be held between groups. Or the Field Rangers could have their own intramural team that competes against the YMCA teams, like in bowling or swim meets or whatever. You can tailor your Field Ranger guild to whatever is most popular in your area. So let's say you live in a super liberal place that just wants nothing to do with firearms whatsoever. Maybe they would be interested in kendo or fencing instead. The practice gear would be expensive, but you can use your budget on whatever your kids are interested in. Now I've always wanted to make a paintball arena, not just the kind with the inflatable barriers, but a legitimate small town area with multiple buildings and objectives and vehicles that could be made out of ATVs or golf carts and made to look more militaristic. And some of the objectives could change the game, like there could be cameras mounted everywhere, and if you take out a player, you could have a key card that unlocks a room that you get inside and you can watch the cameras and give intelligence to your team. Or another room that has the radio communication relay inside, and each team has walkie-talkies that can be disabled by accessing that room. This could be a yearly retreat like a summer camp that's just for Field Rangers. And this would actually be possible if I had that $4 billion a year budget that the Boys and Girls Club has. So skill trees are pathways to achievement. Just like in a game, you have smaller nodes that are easy to get and bigger nodes that are harder to get, and even bigger nodes that show a major achievement. Everyone complains about kids these days and the newer generation becoming more useless and not knowing how to do certain things. And when I was a kid, kids had more autonomy and it was normal to walk home from school by themselves or ride a bike all day and disappear and your parents had no idea where they were because people were self-sufficient and self-reliant. If you think about frontier America, you had kids that knew how to ride horses and take care of them and put on harnesses and milk the cows, churn butter and plow a field with a donkey, all before breakfast. Kids these days know how to stare at their smartphones and play Minecraft while their mom takes them to school in an SUV with a TV on the back of the seat. Take away any one of those things and they panic. This is a problem I hope to fix with the Field Rangers. Kids already know how to play games, you just have to make them see life as a game and want to level themselves up. That's why the skill tree is based on achieving a higher score, leveling up your rank, and getting a number that lets everyone know what your ability rating is. It's like Achievement Hunter, but the achievements actually matter. The more I thought about this, the more it makes sense and the more problems I discovered that it solves. Not only are your skills useful for employers to know what you can do in your career later on, but they can be used to find valuable partners to form relationships with. We're already used to dating sites that use compatibility ratings to tell us who's the best match for us for a relationship. Everything is boiled down to numbers based on what you like. Human beings are also incredibly flawed at determining who is a good person just by using our senses. For example, most girls are attracted to the football quarterback alpha male Tim Riggins type of guy because evolution has told them that this type of person is a good physical specimen. It shows leadership qualities, therefore he would make a good husband and father. But in actuality, he turns out to be the abusive alcoholic car salesman. And I watch a lot of TV. What they completely miss out on are the diamonds in the rough. The Elon Musk of the world that build model rockets in their spare time, and maybe they're a little chubbier because they read books, because they want to understand the way the world works, but they end up dominating in their particular field and form their own companies. This is how the ability rating system is not only useful for professional relationships, but determining a suitable partner. Not only can you see their total score, but the pathway that is formed by their skills to see if it complements your own or is similar to it, depending on what you're looking for. This is better information than what you would get from a dating site because it's not someone saying, oh, I like to travel or oh, I like the outdoors. But they don't actually travel or go outside that much. You see their skill tree and you see that this person not only knows how to find edible plants and mushrooms that are safe to eat, they can start a fire using a coconut and they know how to heat the house if the fire goes out. And here it says they survived a week-long survival challenge with nothing but a knife. This person's interesting. The skill tree system also fixes a lot of big picture problems once we get into phase 2. If you're feeling depressed because you don't have enough self-esteem, you can work on your skills and actually have points that say you're worth something. If you don't know what to do in life, it shows you the path to take. It gives you purpose if you don't have one. If you think life is pointless or empty, it shows you what's actually out there to do and achieve. And you can never feel like a loser as long as you have points. The main problems caused by depression are also able to be improved. If you have a drug addiction, the best way to conquer it is to replace it with another addiction like improving yourself. If you're homeless, you can use it to find a job. Same thing if you're a veteran and you already have skills but you don't know how to incorporate them into a new career after the military. Or if you made mistakes in life and you were in prison and you have programs in there that you can use to improve yourself, this is similar to those. While you're getting your life back together, you now have the tools that are built in to provide resources to tell you what to do and where to go, whether you want to get certifications for a good job or nearby trade schools to learn a trade, or you can work the inner circle and find a basic job that requires no skills using the temp agencies or career opportunities that are built in. And finally, in phase 3, if the government adapts this system and we can finally replace useless representatives with an internet-based voting system, lobbying goes away. Big corporations can no longer use their money to buy votes from Congress and senators. There's no need to gerrymander districts anymore because electoral votes aren't based on location anymore. And you can't gerrymander an industry because there are far more working class people than there are CEOs and administrators. Hopefully it can fix corruption or at least dial it back. An internet-based voting system is also cheaper, and democracy would finally be based on merit rather than popularity contests controlled by the media. But the biggest fixes are how the field rangers get the community involved, not just with fundraising, but forming neighborhood watch programs and crime prevention because of it, and empowering people that live in big cities or more liberal areas that aren't as familiar with Second Amendment rights to be more comfortable around firearms and understand how they work so they don't freeze up in the event of a robbery or a school shooting. And I want people to learn about public land and wildlife management areas, which is every American's inheritance that most of them don't even realize they have. And most of all, the education of real, demonstrable, valuable skills that aren't taught in public schools anymore. When people say kids these days, I want them to talk about how impressed they are with how capable kids these days are, like the kids that helped build the frontier of America. So I do have some hopes and fears concerning the ability ratings. I want them to be used to demonstrate your value to potential companies that want to hire you, and your friends and partners that want to be in a relationship with you, and groups that might want you as a member. My fear is that people will discriminate against other people that have the low score, and it will be yet another thing that people become prejudicial about. However, the skill tree makes it easy to work on yourself and raise that score, so it's really up to you if you want to be lazy about it. I want you to have personal pride in yourself and constantly improve, but I'm also worried that people might try to keep people out of places that want to be exclusive the way country clubs tend to keep out poor people. The system is competitive, which can be a good thing and make everyone want to improve, but it can also lead to people trying to use shortcuts and cheat the system, and I can already imagine people using the app on their phone to try to send their phone to locations they haven't been to or Photoshop themselves next to landmarks like Mount Rushmore to artificially increase their score. I want to come up with ways to verify skills and rating points so that this can't happen, but nothing's ever completely unhackable. With programs like deepfakes, it's hard to tell what's even real these days. Okay, we're finally ready to talk about Phase 2. Most of my ideas about Phase 1 and later phases, I've just sort of got an outline of how it would work, but I want to tell you what I've come up with so far. So when you're about 16 years old, you start planning for the future, and by the time you graduate high school, you should expect to have an ability rating from being at the Field Rangers, maybe 100 to 200 points, depending on what age you started and how active you were. I'm basing this on the fact that the Boy Scouts currently have about 140 merit badges, and I excluded some of them and I kept a few, but I'm also adding new ones. So how many the Field Rangers end up having and how many ways you can earn bonus points from achievements and landmark experiences, etc., I'm not really sure of yet. And you can't expect everyone to get all of them. But you can think of this number as a head start on getting a career and becoming successful. There's a certain threshold that I want to call being a civilian, which is the average number most Field Rangers complete Phase 1 at. And as you work through Phase 2, you go from civilian to citizen, which will be about the amount of points you would want to have a good, decent career going, where you can afford your own home and raise a family and be a productive member of society. So I'm going to talk about the Skillshare program, where experts in different fields come to different local areas and teach you skills to help you get certified in those fields. Then I want to talk about partners and affiliates that I think would want to participate in Phase 2 and most likely want to see Field Rangers succeed. Next, I want to talk about certifications and awards that you would find on the skill tree. These are the big point nodes that really boost your ability rating. Then I want to talk more about landmark experiences that count towards your rating as an adult. And I want to finish up by talking about extracurricular activities that can get you points and ways to stay connected with your friends as an adult, because that's an area of life I see people struggling in. People get out of high school and they get married and they go off to college and they lose touch with people for no reason other than they don't have things to do together. I think we can fix that. Now for the moment you've probably all been waiting for. What does the skill tree look like? Well, there are a lot of jobs in life and I want the skill tree to be able to include everything you can possibly think of, whether you want to be a clown and find the best local clown college, to an astronaut and you want to know how to get qualified to join NASA. Maybe you have a really niche career you want to pursue, like a referee for the NFL. Well, the skill tree will show you what courses to take. Maybe you want to be an auctioneer for fine antiquities. Maybe you want to be a cowboy and work on a ranch. Maybe you want to be a neurosurgeon for Johns Hopkins. The skill tree will show you the path to take from med school to attending to where your residency and which schools had the most success at it. Maybe you want to become an electrician and you need to find a trade school where you can get certified. Or you want to be a street magician. Where in the world do you start with that? These are all questions that need to be researched and put into a database and made into an app to run on your phone. So this first image is a radiophylogenetic tree that has to do with evolution, but just to help you visualize, pretend that all the labels on the outside are possible jobs that exist. Those are just the jobs that require the most skills and certifications because they're at the farthest out from the center. Now I'll overlay it with a skill tree from the game Path of Exile because it's one of the most vast skill trees I know of, and it will give you a basic approximation of what the ability rating tree might look like. Now I'm going to highlight the center of the tree, and this will represent all the jobs with the least amount of requirements. Maybe you wouldn't even need a high school diploma or a GED for these, like being a cashier or a waiter or working for a temp agency. This small area might include all of the skills you would acquire in the Field Rangers in Phase 1. Now those skills are connected to the vast network of adult skills that will define your career path. Now the area moves out a little farther, and these jobs would require a diploma or a GED. Farther still would be the jobs that you'd probably need a certification for, or maybe even an associate's degree. The next ring you may need a bachelor's degree and several certifications, and probably previous work experience. The next level you might need a master's degree or a PhD. This is where you find the doctors, lawyers, and the astronaut I mentioned earlier. Surprisingly, the President of the United States might be kind of in the middle. Although you do have an age requirement of 35, you don't have to be particularly talented, just popular. That's the problem with a pure democracy without merit being involved. But I think we can fix that too. So who else benefits from this skill tree application in Phase 2? Well, here's where some more problems get fixed. If you've ever been looking for a job and you've applied at various companies and temp agencies, you'll know that each one of them has their own drug testing policy. Some use urinalysis, some use oral swabs, some take hair samples, some do the test on site, some send you to another location. And every time you apply for a job, you have to do it all over again. But with this app, you do it once and it shows on your profile that you've done it recently. Not all companies will accept this at first, but I think eventually it can become standard practice. Another thing I know that human resources people have to deal with a lot is employment verifications. Every time you go to apply for a loan or other certain things, people will do background checks, and that includes verifying that you work for who you say you work for. It's one of the most annoying phone calls people have to deal with. It's some Indian guy who barely speaks English trying to verify somebody's employment for some underwriter for a bank loan. With the app, it shows you who you work for, who you've ever worked for, and all the information is available immediately. You can also click a button and it will take this information and generate a resume for you, which you can connect to your LinkedIn or other website, until this app makes LinkedIn obsolete. Same thing with applications for trade schools or college applications. It'll take your basic skills and use those to create a boilerplate application. Then all you have to do is write an essay about why you want to go to school there or whatever else they require. Military recruiters can also use this tool to put you in a specialized track in the military or help you understand what you're best suited for. I'll show you what I mean. Let's say you want to join the Army, but you're not sure what you want to specialize in. If you were a field ranger and you did a lot of camping and that led to your survival challenges and you learned how to purify water, maybe you'd be suited for a water purification specialist like that Pauly Shore movie. Let's say you're a gun guy and you did well with rifles, and that means you're good for infantry. But maybe you're more of a nerd and you like making crystal radios and ham radios and you learn signals and codes and you know the tools of the trade when it comes to communications. Signals intelligence or electronic warfare might be right up your alley. Or if you were more of an outdoor frontier guy and you know how to track and you're experienced in hunting, maybe you qualify for special forces. And you might just be a redneck. So your prerequisite skills lead to more advanced skills, and use those skills to see your potential future if you stay on that path from the Field Ranger program in Phase 1 to your career in Phase 2. Some people may complete the athletics merit badge and never go farther than that because it was only required for something else they wanted to do, like hiking, which led to hunting and had nothing to do with playing sports. But some people may dream about winning the World Series or becoming an Olympic gold medalist, and when you specialize hard enough into one sport, the app will show your progress, and people that can make those dreams come true have access to all the work you put in. You don't have to worry as much about getting noticed or scouted because if you're the best person for the job, the skill tree will show it. Here's a fun one. Let's look at martial arts and see how mastering multiple skills can really boost your ability rating. Let's say person A is a karate master. They've only focused on karate and they got a black belt in it. For now, let's ignore the 10 extra dans past black belt and simplify it. If the master level of karate is a black belt and that's worth 5 points, person A would have 7 total points because martial arts as a prerequisite is worth 1 point and karate is worth 1 point. Person B is a golden glove boxer and a purple belt in judo. worth 3 points each for being expert level, but having multiple expert levels in 2 different martial arts, that makes the martial arts prerequisite worth 3 points instead of 1. So person B has a total of 11 points, even though they haven't achieved mastery in a single discipline. This is how it's more valuable to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Now like I said, I want the skill tree to include every possible job that exists, so where do the controversial skills come in? Well, just like how you have to be 35 to be the president, you also need to be 18 for some jobs, like if you want to be a sex worker or an 18 plus Instagram model and sell your bathwater, which would require the social media merit badge from the digital frontier, by the way. If you want to learn skills like alcohol production, microbrews, wine, or whiskey making, these would all require you to be 21, whatever the law states in your area. If you want to be a pro gambler, I'm not really sure what the age requirement would be, but it would still show you on the tree the most successful pathways that other people have taken to make money doing that. So like I said in phase 1, there are landmark experiences that give you ability ratings points besides the skills on the skill tree. And in phase 2, there are things that do the same thing and they're called milestones. These are things that employers look for, but also potential business partners and romantic partners that just let people know that you have life experience. Some of the most basic things for jobs are that you have reliable transportation, like you own your own car, that you have a high school diploma or GED. These are 2 of the most basic skills that everyone should have on their skill tree and will be near the very center of it. Then you branch out into specialties and you earn degrees and certificates that will really pinpoint your abilities. And later in life, you should try to own your own home at some point. This is a true sign of becoming an adult. And that will probably be 5 points by itself because it's a major milestone in anyone's life. If you run for local offices or government, that should be worth some points. And if you travel a lot, take some photos of yourself at important vistas or locations, and enough of those can add up to points. And I'll talk about those next. But most importantly, you can gain points from being a member of approved organizations and clubs. You can join as many as you want and they're each worth a point. You might join the NRA, the PGA Tour, the ACLU, 4-H, the Modern Woodman, or maybe you help build houses for Habitat for Humanity. You can also join hunting clubs or country clubs, Freemason lodges or other fraternal orders, Lions International or Rotary Club, the Kiwanis, pretty much any organization that you've seen on those Adopt a Highway signs, with the exception of certain clubs like the Knights of Columbus that are strictly religious and not inclusive of anyone that wants to join. Those will probably not count. So like I said, some of the ways you earn experience points are cumulative, meaning you have to do several of them to be worth 1 point. Like traveling to places is like earning an Explorer merit badge. People that used to be called explorers are just called travelers now because there's nothing left to explore besides the ocean and a few places on Earth where uncontacted tribes live. That's why I stress the Space Force thing and asteroid mining. It's the only frontier left. But as an individual, it still makes you more an interesting person if you've been places like the ocean or if you've climbed a mountain peak or if you've been to famous landmarks like Mount Rushmore or the pyramids. I'm still thinking about these concepts like if you climb Pikes Peak, it's noticeably a bigger deal than if you climb some unknown mountain peak that is much lower elevation. Or if you take a picture of yourself in front of various city skylines, how many of those are worth 1 point? 10, 20? Or historical markers should count, but they're all over the place, so you might have to collect 50 of those to be worth a point. But it does make it interesting, like you're trying to catch all the Pokemon. You should also be able to earn points by reading books that are culturally influential, such as Wealth of Nations or Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, or politically controversial ones like Atlas Shrugged or the Communist Manifesto. You don't have to agree with the politics, but you should know the arguments that those ideologies make so you can make informed decisions. Pretty much any book that's on a required reading list in any kind of educational establishment would probably be worth a point. The only problem I see with this is how do you prove that someone has read a book? You have a similar problem with people photoshopping themselves into photos or vistas. But there might be a way to timestamp your phone's GPS or a fingerprint scanner that matches up to it. It may have to be an honor system. But there are also things called hunting and fishing slams that most people don't know about where you try to harvest different species of turkeys in the continental US or North America for a super slam, or different deer species. There's also things you can do with ham radios like contacting satellites or other people in different places. I also want to do something to involve public lands and getting people to utilize their wildlife management areas. These things I don't know that much about, and I'm still researching them, but I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of things you can do to earn experience points and ways to make field rangers entertaining and educational. Now that we leveled up our younger generation and we have competent citizens with many useful skills and abilities, it's time to come up with contingency plans to protect the investment we made, and that's what Phase 3 is all about. Back during the Cold War, there was an organization called the Civil Defense Force that prepared for nuclear war and other worldwide catastrophes that could jeopardize civilization and life as we know it. You may have seen the old cartoon they made called Duck and Cover featuring Bert the Turtle. With all the problems we're currently facing, from a viral pandemic to the ice caps melting, we need this organization to be reestablished and upgraded for current technology. We already have a new version of the emergency broadcast system, and you get Amber Alerts on your phone if a child is abducted in your area, or you may remember recently there was a missile alert in Hawaii that turned out not to be real, but we have the technology in place. The Civil Defense Force will be focused on preparing for the worst situations by building bunkers and storing food and supplies, and this would be separate from the underground facilities the U.S. government already has, like the one under Cheyenne Mountain, created by the public for the public. We want to make sure our way of life survives and protect the population from being wiped out completely. You may have heard of the ARC project that stores every kind of seed found on Earth so the genetic material is available to be cloned in the case of extinction level events. Much like the Tom Clancy game, The Division, specially trained citizens will be ready to respond if such an incident occurs and will know how to rebuild the infrastructure to allow civilization to start over. This will be a network of civil engineers that know how the water plants work and how to turn the power back on if the population is wiped out and aren't around to maintain the power plants and nuclear facilities. They may also have to deal with the fallout from reactors that couldn't be saved or left over from nuclear strikes in the event of another world war or the government collapses. We also may need to be able to communicate with each other in the event we have to fight back against our own government or an invading nation. Besides the civil engineers, we'd also need other specialists such as doctors that can perform surgeries and deal with pregnancies, because these things used to be life-threatening situations before we had our current level of technology to deal with it, and we can't assume that it'll always be there. We need farmers that know how to grow food so communities can be self-reliant with no supply chains bringing freight into the supermarkets, and we may have to go back to a bartering system when money becomes useless. We will need to have our own militias to maintain order and enforce laws because people will get out of control when they think the end is at hand, from religious zealots to common thieves and rapists. We'll also need them to do recon and gather resources from outlying areas and bring them back into the communities we establish. I can see this idea becoming popular and gaining recognition from the militia groups that already exist, like the ones that defended the Bundy Ranch from the government trying to seize his cattle grazing lands, as well as civil rights groups like the First Amendment and Second Amendment auditors on YouTube, open carry groups, and government accountability organizations. We can also learn a lot from survivalists and preppers that make YouTube videos demonstrating primitive skills and how to survive, as well as use them to spread the message of the Power Over the World project. Besides civil engineers and specialists, I want to use the field rangers to make sure there are people out there that still remember the old ways of doing things, when electricity didn't work. From blacksmithing and leatherworking to using a spinning wheel and churning butter and making lye soap, we need people who remember how to preserve food without a refrigerator and use herbal remedies when we're out of modern medicine. We might have to go back to using horses and oxen, not even in a global emergency, but because fossil fuels are non-renewable, and we've already used most of them up in the last 100 years, so if we can't get hydrogen or solar options, we'll probably be forced to use them in a few decades anyway. We need to know how to drill wells and build log cabins and how to grind grain using a windmill or a water wheel. So hopefully World War III doesn't break out or an asteroid slams into the Earth, but if it doesn't, I hope that the skill tree rating system can lead us into a new type of democracy based on merit, where citizens rise up and overthrow the current government because it's probably the only way things will change for the better. Congress is useless, and they proved that with the last few times they shut down the government and society went right along without them, so they need to be removed from power. We will still need some sort of council to propose new legislations and decide if the military needs to be used, but these sort of decisions shouldn't come down to individuals that are bought and paid for by corporations. We need to replace elections to put people in power with direct voting for bills that actually gives power back to the people. And this voting power should be based on merit, so the more intelligent and more involved people in a decision are the ones making that decision. Not the majority of us that are easily brainwashed by the media and elected a movie star, a war criminal, a pedophile, an idiot, and a reality TV star as the more recent leaders of the free world. The way it currently works is you have politicians who don't really care about the people they represent. Being a politician is their career, and they spend all their time getting re-elected instead of communicating to their constituents to properly represent them. Instead, they let money determine how to vote on issues, assuming that whoever donates the most money to get them re-elected should have their interests representing, and it leads into a cycle of only the rich having any say in how government runs, and we end up with food that poisons us, and fossil fuels that poison the planet, and drugs that don't cure anyone because you make more money with a treatment than a cure. Manufacturers are making things designed to fall apart, so you have to keep buying more, and it's all a result of capitalism that has run unchecked for too long. A society that is based purely on the marketplace and money is going to eventually become corrupt because it's no longer based on the best interest of the people and creating things to help better society. It's only about making the rich get richer. My voting system will take the branches of the skill tree and divide them into industrial categories such as agriculture, food service and hospitality, medical, manufacturing categories, military, entertainment, transportation, finance, and many more categories that encompass various types of careers and jobs. Every year you would change your preferred industry. For example, if you have loved ones in the military but you work as a waitress, you might want the ability to have more voting power on issues related to foreign affairs because you're afraid your family members might go to war. Or if you're a truck driver and a local state bill comes up that could fix the highways and make your life easier, you may want to have more of an impact in getting that bill passed. Keep in mind that I've only started thinking about Phase 3 and 4, so most of this presentation focuses on the Field Rangers and the Career Skill Tree in Phases 1 and 2, so I have a lot more work to do. But I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. This has been about 2 weeks of hard work, and I'm proud of it, and I hope we can make this become a reality. I think the first step is to get a Kickstarter campaign going and maybe getting a web domain and establish a 501c3 organization to get the Field Rangers started. And see if I can find people out there that want to form their own guilds and become field wardens and start figuring out places for meetings and initial inventories to get kids involved and get it started. Thanks for watching. Alright guys. What up? Where's my camera? Oh, there we go. Thoughts? I left that copyright notice on that one picture. I shouldn't have done that. I was like in a hurry. So that's it. That's my idea. Replace the Boy Scouts. New and improved T2 Boy Scouts. Field Rangers. Do I need to open up the presentation and go back to some slides if you guys need to talk about anything in particular, see it again? What is this? Yeah, like I don't know how much it would cost to get started, or if you just like start a local group and then try to get more groups going, get other people to start their own groups, kind of like franchises or something. Because think about, like, let's say you had 10 kids, right? Boy Scouts, I think, is like $60 a year membership fees. That's like $600. And then would you sell them like uniforms separately, like the berets and the coats and stuff? And then if you want to do like, how many merit badges could you afford in a year if you have a $600 budget? Like, obviously couldn't. That's like one pistol if you wanted to do like firearms or something. So you kind of need like backers too, like fundraising and. Oh, Zach's Movies. Oh yeah, the video should be up now, right? Can you play it? Did it premiere? Oh, it's playing right now. It's on the phase 3 part. I'm watching it. I didn't realize it started. Oh shit, there's a whole other chat going over there in that one. Oh, that's not really that much though. You bitten dogs in there? Grand Zaper says, I feel like I'm in a meeting at work right now. Good job, very professional. I mean, that's about as professional as I can make it. Let me just see what's going on here. Defended the Bundy Ranch from the government trying. Yeah, it's at that part. Yeah, it's like pretty much. It's not very far behind where I was at. Yeah, I was talking to Chemo Time about making a skill tree that I could just add skills to and it would automatically connect everything. I need like a really good programmer that knows how to make apps. Because you can't really start it until you get that done, can you? Yeah, Zach, you should really go back to the beginning. It's not going to make sense. It's like a 55-minute long video, though. You're talking about how we should cut our ties to how the world currently runs. I mean, yeah. That's kind of what I want to do. Just kind of like, just start our own thing that we kind of become popular and kind of govern ourselves. And then eventually we'll just kind of kind of like nothing really has done that before. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, say the XFL did football better than the NFL, and just suddenly, eventually, people just stopped being interested in the NFL and they only watch the XFL. Kind of like that. Like, if we just had a better system and we just kind of did our own thing, we're not like seceding from the government. We're not like roping ourselves off in our own state or city. We're just kind of going along with it and doing a better job than the government does. And like stopping calling the police every time something happens, and like calling your neighbor is a good way to start that. But imagine like if we had our own militia groups that had our own like MRAP type vehicles. Like if police shows up at a riot and we bring our own shit, and like, what now, bitch? We can kind of compete with them on some kind of a scale. Oh yeah. Well, I've rendered it at 720p, so probably just hasn't processed that much yet. Example of how I use a skill tree for your gardening. No, I was just kind of joking around when I was out in my yard. I was like, I'm leveling up my mining skill because I'm digging in the dirt. Leveled up my carpentry when I built that ladder. It's me and Flaja and Bruce Rogers, we played a lot of arcade, and it was kind of like that. You have professions that you level up by doing it a lot. That's where I got the this slide from. That's the arcade tree over here. You want to see the outfit again? The Asian chick. Oh, we got a dog in the house. Come here, Puddin'. Yeah, she is. Yeah. What's the matter? How you doing? You in the coronavirus in the living room? Well, it'd be alright because they'd only have rubber guns. It'd all be fake. I'm sure you got some other stuff. So let's see. Let me make this big. Wow. So this is Girl Scout merit badges, right? So up here they got like coding basics, digital game design, cybersecurity stuff, digital photography, computer expert. There's an investigation one. Senses, detective, special agent, and truth seeker. See, they go by like if you're a brownie scout or a junior Girl Scout or a cadet. Like the higher up you go in the scouts, then you get a higher level merit badge. I mean, some of them are the same though. It's weird. And some of them aren't really skills. It's just like being a voice for animals. Or night owl. What does that mean? They stayed up late one night? How's that a skill? Regional, okay. Little Empire Fallout 3, Erica's hostile armored PV. You see how like I incorporated a lot of my old ideas? Like how I wanted to make a paintball arena. Wasn't that one of my ideas? Did I ever make a video about that? What else did I talk about? The wearing capes idea is kind of like I turned it into berets and those jackets. What else is there? 3-gun competitions. Playing with walkie-talkies. Battle bots. Remote control stuff. That'd be so much fun, guys. Think about it. Yeah. What else was there? These are the current Boy Scout merit badges, if you want to look at some of those. Theatra. Snow sports. I don't know if they had that when I was in there. Space exploration. Well, let's see what that is. How do you get your space exploration merit badge since you're a kid? Like, what do you do? Tell the purpose of space exploration and include the following. Historical reasons. To explore space. Immediate goals in terms of specific knowledge. Oh, like, do you know what NASA is trying to do right now? Benefits related to Earth, resources, technology, and new products. International relations and cooperation. Oh, like, are we working with Russia or something like that? Design a collector's card with a picture on the front and information on the back about your favorite space pioneer. Like a baseball card for an astronaut? Share your card and discuss 4 other space pioneers with your counselor. Build, launch, and recover a model rocket. Explain the rocket parts. Discuss and demonstrate each of the following. Do 2 of the following. Discuss with your counselor a robotic space exploration mission and a historic crude mission. So this is what takes so long. It's like you got to get the counselor to actually like take time to listen to you tell him a bunch of shit that he already heard from everybody else. Nobody wants to do that. That's not how that should work. You should have to like demonstrate stuff, like show that you can do a thing. Like chop a piece of wood in half if you know how to do it. I mean, that's not a really good example, but wood carving or like light a fire with 2 sticks. If you can do that, then you know how to do it. So none of this is actually going into space. It's just like describe this, design this, discuss this with your counselor. It's kind of a bunch of BS. Search and rescue, see, that's one that I would probably keep. I mean, it's not like you're going to have a helicopter, but you could learn like methods of rescuing people. Be it like a snow mountain landfall kind of a thing, or somebody's on a boat and they're having a heart attack. Scouting heritage. Robotics. See, that's a new one. I didn't have that when I was in the Scouts. Pulp and paper. I think I might have gotten that badge. Pets. Huh. Let's see what this one is. Let's see what the requirements are for pets. Has a pet, you get a merit badge. That's it. Look at this. That's the whole requirements. Present evidence that you have cared for a pet for 4 months. Get approval before you start. Write in 200 words or more about the care, feeding, and housing of your pet. Tell some interesting facts about it. Tell why you have this kind of pet. Give local laws, if any, relating to the pet you keep. Show that you have read a book or pamphlet approved by your counselor about your kind of pet. What? What if it's like Clifford the Big Red Dog? Do any one of the following. Show your pet in a pet show. Start a friend raising a pet like yours. Help your friend get a good start. Train a pet in 3 or more tricks or special abilities. Shit, I couldn't. Anime doesn't do tricks. If I tell her to get in her little house, that makes her sit. Because she'll like compromise with me. She won't go in her little house, but she'll sit down. Or what's the other thing she does? If I say, there she is, then she'll jump up in the window and look for cats. Because she thinks there might be a cat outside. Even though I'm not looking out the window. There's no possible way I would know that. There she is! What? Huh? What? There she is! There she is! See, she's falling. She knows I'm tricking her now. I've done it so many times. It's like the boy cried wolf. I almost had one of them. Whatchamacallums. What are them called when you like ring the bell and their mouth would water? Pavlovian effects. I almost made a Pavlovian trick on you, didn't I, girl? Tricked you. I played a trick on you. Remember that? Remember we did that and I played that trick on you? You was eating a piece of crust and I said, there she is. You went, what? Alright, get out of here. Yeah, fuck off. Oh. I had the camera off, my bad. I thought I heard something outside. Hey man, go look outside. I heard sound. Personal fitness. Let's look at this one. Nuts. These nuts are part of it. Brushing your teeth is part of it. If meeting any of the requirements for this merit badge is against the Scouts' religious convictions, the requirement does not have to be done if the Scout parents and proper religious advisors state in writing that to do so would be against religious convictions. Parents must also accept full responsibility for anything that might happen because of this exemption. Like your Scoutmaster wants to make sure you have firm buttocks. They may want to caress and lovingly grab your child's butt. Tobacco products, certain underused alcohol. 7 warning signs of cancer. That's part of physical fitness. Youth risk factors that affect cardiovascular health in adulthood. Have a dental exam. Tell how to care for your teeth. You brush them. Explain verbally or in writing what personal fitness means to you, including reasons for being blah 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 fit, being mentally healthy, physically fit, socially healthy. Socially healthy? What does that mean? What are the advantages of getting a full night's sleep? What are you doing to demonstrate your duty to God? What the hell has that got to do with personal fitness? Scout's drone. See, stuff like this is not helpful to kids. It's just a waste of time. Giving them something to do. Not really teaching them anything. You're basically saying you go figure it out and come back and tell me when you figured it out. You're not actually teaching it to them. Which I guess it's our own fault for like not teaching a lot of important skills in school. Inventing? How is that a badge? Think of something that has never been thought of. Oh, okay. Just do that real quick. Yeah, I'm totally gonna get assassinated now. But at least I got the information out there, so if somebody else wants to take over. Define inventing. List 3 inventions that state how they helped humankind. Identify and interview somebody in your community who has invented a useful item. How do you know there is one? Define the term intellectual property. Explain the components of a patent, different types of a patent. Examine your scouting gear and find a patent number on a camping item you have used. Okay. Think of an item you would like to invent that would solve a problem for your family, troop, charter, organization, community, blah, 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 blah. Determine the needs of the users of your invention. Create a model of the invention using clay, cardboard, or any other readily available material. List the materials needed to build a prototype. Share the idea of your model. Build a working prototype. Invented for requirement number 6. Test and evaluate the invention. See, this would be the thing, like, if I'm in the Scouts, I'm thinking, like, what could be, like, the easiest thing to make? I'm just going to invent whatever is, like you take some paper and you fold it into a fan or something like that. And then call it an invention. It's just like you're just going to skip it and try to, like, get the badge. Or just by doing the exact requirements. Oh, I forgot to put museums on there. That should probably be listed as like a extracurricular. There's a lot of resources in here anyway. Alright, you guys got anything else you want to talk about? Can I go watch TV now? I've been on for like 2.5 hours. Can we all agree that I've saved the world, please? Can we just agree to that? What's the other chat saying? They ain't saying nothing. Okay. Alright guys, there was nothing else. I think I want to go do something else. Been wanting to be done with this for a while. And now I'm done with it.